Okay. This looks like
We're not
where
getting
we
any
just were.
penalties though, so that's good. We get a 45% bonus for completing it on Elite first time.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, this
A
one.
motley group of redcaps guards
Huh.
the gate ahead. It's strange that a noble of the summer court would retain those violent, unpredictable.
Do we want to go kill the
creatures
water
as
elementals while we're here?
Sure. Might as well. Saf, this way. This way. Don't talk to him. He's mean.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Don't talk to him. He's mean.
Yeah, he's mean. We
Oh,
ignore
I
him.
take it back. I think they're inside.
Oh my God, Dad! What are you doing to me?
He's like, I'm trying to practice my leadership skills, Dad.
All
Oh,
right,
he is leading
now
for
you
sure.
have to talk
All right,
to
now
him.
you can
Get him.
go ahead and talk to him, Saf. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Saf too. Yeah.
Saf's our voice.
I think she died last time.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, she might have, but
It'll
she won't
work out
this
this
time.
time. Yeah.
We're much higher level. Your fast talk won't fool us. Okay, fine. How does this fool you?
Oh, they hurt a little.
Ooh.
Forgot they're like the most dangerous ones of them all.
They are, and you definitely don't want to be tanking if you can help it, Dart.
There you
I
I
know
go.
can't
you
help it though.
I was gonna say, I know you may not be able to help it. All right, now we gotta get the apple.
A curious tree stands here by itself.
Oh.
A single, brilliantly red apple hangs from one of its branches.
Hello, tree. Okay. Uh-oh. What'd I do? Oh.
You beat on the tree, that was fine.
Smack it.
The tree does not like being hit.
No.
A enraged dryad leaps forth to protect it.
All right, we done it.
Did we pick up the apple?
With the dryad surrender,
Do we automatically
the
get it?
apple
We
drops
do.
from the
There we
tree
go.
like a
Oh,
stone.
there it is.
Yep.
Grab that, Saf.
Got it.
All right. Might as well go in here, clear this out while we're here.
That's my cheat day, and Cass come in here just like, yeah, hi.
Have a cake.
Oh, it's
Ha
good.
ha ha ha.
I smell his food. It smells so good. No, no, no. I don't. We have Texas Roadhouse later. No.
Get
Texas
3
Roadhouse.
cakes.
I am not getting 3 cakes. It's a
It's
cheat
day. You
day.
can do whatever you want.
It's a cheat day, not screw it all up day. Oh
All
my
right,
goodness.
did we break all the brokables?
I think we did.
Are you sure?
No
Oh.
one's
No.
ever sure.
Yeah.
I'm never sure.
It looks like it, though.
Come on, dum dum. Let's go.
All right. Speaking of food, now we can go talk to the hungry lady.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
The sprawling courtyard seems deserted.
Didn't we
lone
do
tower
this
looms
quest
ahead.
before?
Lord Xavier.
Yes, we've done
Yeah,
all
on
of these
hard.
recently.
Okay.
We did them on hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like,
So you will be familiar, yeah.
yeah.
What can I do for you, Outlander?
Hmm. Permit a few questions. How might I speak? He may be able to help. Unless... I have another question. Actually, yeah, you seem to have a red cap problem. Okay, I'm done with questions. Alright, let's do it.
Did she ask you for the apple?
Oh, no, she didn't.
What can I do for you?
Oh, I
Outlander?
found you an apple. It was the very first question and I completely skipped it. Will it make me fall asleep? No, it's probably not cursed.
Get it from a witch. She wants to know.
Probably,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool.
She went
Okay,
to
so
bed.
we got her token, so that's good.
Yeah.
I never go in here. What's in here?
Wait, which one?
Right next to her.
Isn't that an option?
Yes.
Wait, okay. I don't know why, but you're glitching on my map. I cannot tell where you are.
I'm in
Oh,
the
you're
building.
here. Okay.
I went in that building.
Yeah, it looked like you were over by the blacksmith.
Definitely glitched. Yeah, I don't think I ever been here. Oh, is there one still alive?
Yeah, now they're not. Oh, we should do the water element.
Yeah, now's the time for that.
Old Aggie is definitely sleeping too.
He's snoozling.
Yep. Snoozle.
You should hit start with one of your hots. So
Oh,
the water
actually-
elementals are over here. If you don't mind, Saf.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Thank you.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
Kind of water elementals.
All right. Come on, Dum Dum. You got an attitude today. Let's go.
It's a good dog.
Now we
Yeah.
got to do the mimic. Back this
Right,
way,
the
Dart.
mimic. Right. Go get him.
Going. Gone.
Vigest.
This storehouse is occupied by a very energetic chest. It gapes at you with a big, toothy grin and speaks.
Approach, friends! I am Riddlelock! Come, let us talk!
Let's play a game. All right. Ask me your riddle. Okay.
What five-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it?
Shorter? No, I'm kidding.
So, no, look at the word shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So what if short, I think, is the answer to the...
I
Yeah.
thought it's like
Right.
a dozen or something, right?
There are different ones. So if you say short, that's a 5-letter word.
Okay.
So you got to type /say, space, and then short.
Okay. Slash say.
You add ER to it, and it's shorter.
Okay.
Wrong! Fine. Die
Yeah.
then.
Fine. Just die.
Yield.
Well, he died real quick.
Oh, he's there
I
again.
couldn't find the website with the
Okay.
clues. I wonder what it was though.
I don't know, but he just puked somebody out.
When you add 2 letters. I mean, that works. Short
What was the riddle again?
is right. What 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it? 5-letter word is short, and you add ER to it, and it becomes shorter, literally.
Yeah, and I said shorter. I don't know.
Oh, it is short stone or wait.
Right, so short was the right one.
He said
Here.
what 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it? It is short.
Yeah, it is short. I'm looking to see what Saf said.
I said shorter.
No, you should have said just short.
Oh, okay.
So that's good. That's good. So now I just want to make sure I knew what the right answer was.
Yeah.
All right, so did you talk to the guy that got spit out?
Yeah, I'm talking to him now.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Okay. He's been
All right.
talked to.
Hopefully he learned his lesson about playing with mimics.
No. Never.
Heckin' mimic.
Yep.
Now I think we gotta come in here.
You went into the smithy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See if you can diplo this guy or something. Use diplomacy on him or something.
Okay. The red
Huh?
cup
Probably
guard or
not.
smug. We'll try. Attempt a social skill.
What skills are your choices?
New orders or leave now, which is a bluff and an intimidation check.
So do the bluff one. You
Yeah.
don't have any intimidation. Sounds like a lie to me. Sure it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're trying to let each of these people live, you know?
They don't want to live.
They don't.
Come on, give me heals.
You're being interrupted is my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely. Maybe we shouldn't have you talk to everybody.
Yeah, the healer is not a great idea.
All right, we got his token.
Cool.
Broke all the brokables. Are there any brokables?
Yep. I don't think there are any
I don't think
breakables.
so
Wait. Nope. They are no breakables.
Heckin' just unbreakables.
I know, right?
You can't break the unbreakables.
Aw, why not?
Actually, maybe we can. You want to speak to Lip here?
No,
don't
that's all right. We're good.
I don't think he'll bite you.
The tower is sealed. A true friend may enter.
I love the mouth.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
True friend, mentor. Shrine here, which I don't need, at least not yet. Care about them. There's no breakable here.
Where are you, Dart?
Oh, I ran off.
Roll your
Hold on.
guard.
Durgan's
Blink
fighting
dogs.
alone. Poor dog.
I am.
He'll live. I feel so bad for the blink dogs.
I hope I'll live. I'll at least have aggro.
Nah, you're fine.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm gonna talk to her. Fight to subdue.
You are faced with an unavoidable battle with the Eladrin. You have chosen to stay your blows and spare their lives, even at the risk of your own.
That's just because that's who we are.
Yeah.
And we're heroic and shit.
That's right. We're no evil minions.
Evil!
The definite lack of breakables in this quest.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, you got critted.
Hurts a little. Only a little. Thank you.
Yeah.
if we're going too fast, Saf, just speak up.
Oh no, you're good. I just need to
Okay.
quit looking around. I will likely have to use the shrine whenever we leave this place.
Well, when you leave, when we finish the quest, you you automatically shrine. So
Ah, okay.
if you want to use it now, we can. This would be a good time to go back down.
Yeah.
I think the end fight is next. You're probably okay.
Yeah.
we should be good to clear.
Hey there,
Yeah, it is the end
guacamole.
fight.
Most of these Eladrin appear to be victims of the Redcaps. Whoever has replaced Greymoss must be desperate now.
Okay, what are we doing? Ah, it goes, Guac, it goes. Thank you. How about you? Oh, yeah, you're talking to them. I'm like, nope, I'm good. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I was talking to him. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's the
Defeat the
witch.
hag.
Look, Smart is going absolutely insane.
Ha ha ha. He doesn't like witches.
Oh yeah. Oh, cool, Guac. You're on Cormyr. Nice.
Is that the 64-bit server?
I have no idea. Wow.
From here, I think it is.
The hag's form splits into several mirror images. You'll need to watch closely to see which one is the real threat.
Or we just kill them all.
Yeah, we can just do that.
I found her. It's the one that speaks when you hit her.
Ah, good clue. But I don't think you did, because I think the other ones go away when you kill her. Maybe
I
not.
didn't
Though.
actually kill her though. I only hurt her.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Now we killed her.
Yee.
The hag dies, screeching to the last. After a moment, the Viscount
Dum-dum.
rises to his feet.
Where
and
is Dum Dum?
gloats.
Adventurers here to ask about Harem. Did you leave anything with you? Probably. We need the loot. Thank you, Viscount.
So Guac says it is the 64-bit and lanterns in the mist
Cool.
event.
Yeah, yep. So it's free. Usually it's a VIP only. I don't know. Are there other servers 32-bit? I've always wondered why.
Why just Cormyr?
What's so special about it? Yeah, it's a VIP only server, and it was a fresh start, I guess, was what was attractive to people. There's 2 chests.
Oh, okay.
So the people didn't have a lot of loot in the bank and stuff like that. But the implication is that the old servers are 32-bit, and so performance would be better.
Yeah,
So finishing out.
he says that it's, what is it? He said it has very little lag, if any, and
Mhm.
even with high populations.
Nice. So that leads me to believe all the other older servers are 32-bit.
That's probable.
Alright.
We gotta wait for Saf to finish up.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Here she is.
I always forget about the finishing out thing.
You just admire our handiwork.
Yep. Pretty much. Like, okay, they did it. I just healed.
No, just heal is not the right way to say it. We did it. You saved our ass. That's the way to think about it. But you have some offensive spells too, if you ever want to play around with using them and stuff.
Oh yeah, and I've done that a little bit before, but it
Okay.
was like, yeah, I'm too busy trying to keep Dart alive. So
I
am
well,
a handful.
that's the thing. I mean, if you really want to get into that aspect of your character, just let us know. In a little while, I'll have some healing abilities,
nice.
but I don't really yet.
Okay.
So I can take over some of it.
All right. So I've Dum Dum, and now I have Smart.
All right.
The party here is in full
What
swing.
happened to the? Don't we do the windmill next?
No, that's after this one.
All right.
All in the plan.
All right.
The maid tells you why the satyrs refused to leave. Lord
Oh.
Arden promised them that they could stay at Cascading Springs Cottage until their revels were over. And the satyrs have no intention of ending their party.
Yeah. I remember this.
Okay.
Hey, you guys aren't satyrs. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Red craps. Pixies. These are groupies. Satyr groupies.
Heckin' pixies.
I thought that was smart. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, apparently, that's not very smart of smart.
The gardener says he left some magic seeds inside the conservatory. Seeds that instantly grow into giant, sprawling weeds.
Oh, yeah, I remember. This is where y'all screwed with me so bad about the freaking flower.
No, that's a different one. That's one of the ice ones up north.
Oh, God.
Oh shit, there are enemies down here?
Yeah.
Well, that,
Maybe not on hard, you know.
I do like the flower one.
Yeah,
That was funny.
That was funny.
Tells you that Lord Arden hid the key to the spring house. That way the satyrs wouldn't find his flash boom powder. She has no idea where the key is now.
We will find his flash powder.
Mm-hmm. So boom, boom, boom. Oh, Guac says that is frosty reception. Yes.
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 A satyr calls to you as you enter the courtyard.
Welcome to
Hello
our
there.
revels.
Welcome to our revels. There's food in the kitchen and drink, well, everywhere, including the floor, I see. Make yourself at
Being the
home,
floor.
and don't forget to pour one out for our dear host, to Lord Arden. May his slumbers be peaceful.
Yeah, that was the key word there. May his slumbers be peaceful.
Will be when we get you out.
Yeah.
Secret door here.
Yeah, where is it?
There's a bunch of tarps too, I think.
There we
That ma-
go.
That makes some senses. Oh, looks like the bear traps are finally hidden again. Although I'm
Wait,
not. I'm not seeing them.
sensing any. Never mind.
I'm
the
detecting
chest,
them, but I
that-
couldn't pop them.
The chest is a
I
trap.
popped him.
I can
popped
pop
it.
them that way.
Yeah. Sapsol,
Jeez.
you're almost dead though. And you
Thank you,
said I
Saf.
was reckless.
Yeah, but my search wasn't popping them. I mean, that's just not right. Which reminds me to buff it. You're a rogue, Dardo. You know you can do this stuff.
He says frost
Yeah, but I
traps,
like-
not bear traps.
But I like laughing at you. There, I got one. You happy? I'll get the chest
my
too.
God.
That's good. I'm happy you got one.
Good.
All right, yay!
It's like the Rangers doing all the rogues' work.
right.
I'm doing all the killing.
And the rogue
No,
is
no, this way.
the rogue is doing all the flipping.
All the tanking. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. We are a dysfunctional group. Thank
Yeah.
God for our healer.
No worries.
Let's go straight.
Okay.
Remember, the key's randomly generated.
Yep. So we'll end up.
Come on, dum dum. Get him. Rage, dum dum, rage.
Displacer beast. Oh, we gotta kill the caster.
Yep.
Caster's dead.
Stay left. Let's go left.
Okay.
Guac says, "Isn't trap finding a barbarian's job?"
The way I was finding him, it sure is.
Yeah.
Alright, how do I want to arrange the books?
Well, let me talk to him
Yeah.
first.
Search through the books for the ones the librarian might like. Ooh.
Oh, now if you excuse me, I must put this book back in its proper place.
Oh, then we have to get
Grab the
another
sign.
book.
I can't yet. It's not letting me grab it yet.
Is it the
I
one
grabbed
up
it.
here? Oh, okay. Whee! Did you grab the sign? Wah!
It wouldn't let me for a while there. Let Dart though.
Yeah. Yeah, walking into a room full of enemies is not a good move for the healer. Just
Not
pointing that out.
first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
We're back at the entrance.
We are.
Yeah.
Yee.
Well, that's no fun. Have we gone this way?
This is the way we went the first time.
All right, let's go a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way we went, we took a left instead of going
Alright.
right.
Oh, okay. So at this point, we're gonna loop back no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can get in here without the key, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's why we need the key.
The key can be in the hallway, so
Yeah.
we want to kind of keep our eyes, keep hitting your end key. Target the next item.
Wah! Dart!
Alright, I'm fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
I didn't see that. What, did Dart almost die?
Yes.
Almost. Gotta keep Sap on her toes.
Yeah, that he does.
Oh, that's a dog.
That's a big dog. Oh, and he's got pets. Bad dog. He knocked me down. Oh, he's displaced a lot.
I mean, it's just a flat 50%, I think.
I wouldn't
He's
call
annoying.
it flat.
No, we're just unlucky. Oh, hey, I found the key.
This large key is labeled
Excellent.
It seems someone
It's
was
the
trying to
key! La key!
The key to the quest.
Holy, I got a Pharaoh Crystal bow and the nameplate armor. This is great.
Wow.
The double whammy.
I got the Pharaoh crystal bow if you want it, Dardo. Or not
I
Dardo,
can't
Dargon.
use it.
No,
you can use it.
actually, I don't know if I have it. Sure, I'll take it if you don't want
You
it.
have bow proficiency. I know you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually. What do I do? Just re-roll loot?
Oh, no, it's a heavy cross. No, don't do that. You don't want to reroll it. It's a
Okay.
heavy crossbow, so I don't want that.
Oh, okay. No problem. Well,
Yeah.
No, that's quite all right.
all
Do us
right.
There would
favor,
be
you- Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there would be a drop down arrow to the right, and if you drop
Yeah.
it down, you can pick who to pass it to.
Oh,
But I don't.
that's
I have no
right.
need for that.
Oh, okay.
Dardo got the longbow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got the long.
'Kay.
I didn't even think of
Gotcha.
Durgon.
No, that's
Good
all
on
right. What do I
It-
have for a longbow?
It even
right
had mythic weapon boost +2.
Wow, nice.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't even have a bow right now. That's not good for a
Oi,
range.
I should have done that
Faye.
to you then. That's my bad.
Nah, it's all right. All right, so do we want to keep exploring? We got to get the seeds.
Oh, right. Yeah, you guys
They
know
were
that.
back by the entrance, so we might as well just keep going.
I went a different direction, but you guys can keep going.
No,
Don't
well,
die.
I opened it.
Oh,
Key will. All right, so this room is empty, so now we can go find Dart and save him. Oh, there he is.
yeah, I'm fine. No saving here.
Very good.
Wow, what's wrong with these guys over here?
Which guys is that?
A satyr. Oh, they're passed out. Cool. No problem.
Dude, they're just drunk, you know?
Yee.
They're living the life.
Yee.
Are you going to the Arboretum or whatever it is there, Dardo?
I went to the next closed door. I'm just chilling by it.
Oh, all right.
Don't mind me.
Red craps. Thank you.
Yep.
Like how we're breaking Lord Arden's stuff just for gets and shiggles. That XP.
Here it is. Good.
The lush collection of potted plants suggests that this room is the conservatory.
Alright, I have the magic
A
seeds.
note next to the
Good.
sacred seed
This is one thing to do.
Slakeweed. Keep away from sunlight.
I've already planted them.
Yeah, I see that.
Put the magic seeds
That
on the
was
ground.
so mean of you guys the last time.
Burst
You have
from
to
the
plant
earth,
the
and
seeds.
thirsty
Oh
plants
no!
drain the moisture
What do you mean, oh no? Ah,
Bad druid you are.
I know. Dadgummit. I just wanted to be good.
So back to
Alright.
the library.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
last room we have unexplored.
Wee
Yeah, I see.
wee wee.
Calling the druid police.
Yes. Wee woo, wee woo.
Oh, they're
wee
gonna
woo,
arrest me for sure.
Wee woo.
Water gushes up from the ground in one corner.
Oh, I forgot about the water, Ellie.
forming a large pool. This must be the cascading spring the house is named after.
Hey, like, can y'all not die? That would just be peachy keen.
I'll try my best.
What's the fun in
And
that?
I'll also plant some seeds in the ground.
Weeds spring up
Do you want to grab the
magic seeds
boom?
in the ground. The
Boom,
twisting
boom.
No, Saf,
brambles suck up
Saf,
Yeah.
grab that
dropping
boom
the
powder.
dry.
boom powder? That's what it.
Springs dry as a bone.
Oh,
This
y'all
large
have no
barrel is
idea
marked
what
flash
you're
boom powder
asking.
in large letters.
Ah,
In even larger letters below are the words "Keep away from open flame."
Yep, I'm walking open flame. Blah blah blah. Speak English, teacher.
No fire spells while you're carrying it.
Yeah, obviously. Watch, I'm gonna do a fire spell.
That would be funny if it blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like boom boom. Oh shit. Wee.
Oh, I can let Saf do the dialogue
No.
here.
Yeah, you
it's all
gotta
good.
talk to Hotfoot. Yeah,
Yeah, I got given the flash boom powder.
Oh.
and then we gotta steal the sign.
Careless satyr swings his torch too
Swap the
close to
signs out.
Yeah.
which explodes in a
Got
All
it.
right, we're good.
spark.
Signs are
Nice.
swapped.
Goers turn to gawk at the spectacle. You attempt to take the sign, but are spotted by the attentive satyrs before you can pry it loose. What are you up to then? Surely you aren't letting your light fingers make off with our
Oh, we gotta talk to him again and kick him out.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
simple
Yeah.
task to remove the sign. The satyrs are still distracted by the recent fireworks. You deftly replace the cottage sign with the sign from the library. Seething with anger, the master of the revels reluctantly agrees to leave. A deal's a deal, it's true.
It's
You got
true.
a Snow Peak chest though.
Ooh, how peak.
The deal says we can't rip you to shreds on our way out. The revels have finally ended.
Ooh,
And
I'll
not
take a
in the
Fair
way the
Crystal
satyrs
Dart.
expected.
Finishing out.
I got a bottle of sun.
A
Ooh,
bottle of
fancy.
sun?
Oh, actually, that's pretty good. Sunlight.
I got
So-
a bronze Snow Peak coin.
Yep.
Finishing out. Finishing out. Wow. Okay. You're growling at me.
So you can see we're getting a lot more loot on it.
On Elite, yeah.
Who knew it makes a difference?
I think I may have lost you guys.
All right, it's just to the east.
Oh,
Third on the
I
twin-
haven't finished out yet.
Oh.
I'm admiring my new trinket.
Oh
Oh,
heck. Okay.
okay. This is. I don't think this is the way I should be going. There you are.
You want to like go south and then east?
Okay.
No.
So you want to go Steve?
Seif. Okay. Seif. All right. So I can go Seif.
I'll follow you.
Okay.
South and then east.
Yeah.
So here we start with the east.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to go.
Yeah. It's
We gotta go
gonna
back
be-
up, right, Dardo?
Yeah, and then you go north from that. And you just come to my marker.
Oh, I didn't turn it in last time. You gotta talk to this guy, Seth.
Yeah. Apparently, I didn't turn it in last time either.
Ooh, grass. Like a little surprise.
Yeah, free
Mhm.
gifts.
All right, and on elite.
Oh, this one's low.
Wait. Do I have
Are
to
we
take
going
the
to-
quest again?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad I did not just run in there.
Me too.
Okay.
Let's do the optional at the end too. Was there anything in there worth doing,
I
or
think there actually was named loot in that chest. I
yeah?
think.
So let's do it and
Maybe.
Yeah.
make sure.
All right.
Come here.
proceed. You can
Smart, smart.
talk.
Enter the grove, the
You can do the
villagers
talking
gather
again if you
and
want.
spot a
No, that's
Yeah, I
all
got
right.
encampment in the
I got 'em.
distance.
Okay.
Okay.
Perhaps
I
the
was all
music
like,
of
nah.
those-
The last time you guys had me do
A hearty
this.
voice calls as you approach.
Are you here to help us slay the great beast?
Of course I am. Let's slay the great beast.
Yeah, this is the one where I need to put Dum Dum and Smart Smart away.
I don't think so. Not this one.
Okay.
They should be fine. They might die. But they should be.
Yeah.
Die doing what they love.
Yes.
Oh,
Dart, you want to slow down so I can heal you?
Oh, I'll slow down a little.
Okay.
I gotta get components for my jump spell.
Oh, yeah, you gotta give me jump.
I don't have
Why is that
components.
Jump all good.
It's menacing.
I
Alright,
find that
I'll
hard
do
to
it.
believe.
Whispers to you.
You don't have ranger components.
Talk to me about a plan. I'm glad you believe
Alright.
me.
She tells you.
I told her I believe her.
More than you
Good.
Okay.
ever know. Now, bring your courage.
Dart's
to
very good
me.
at managing the lighthouse.
Well placed. Spindly legs rise from the dirt, and the windmill lurches forward. Creatures spring up around you, rushing to defend the windmill. The windmill seems undaunted by your weapons and spells.
Don't be
I
under
wouldn't
the
be under
windmill,
that.
Saf. You'll die.
Yeah.
Gemstone
Oh, yeah.
seems to be protecting this creature from spells and weapons. The gemstone cracks, and the windmill shudders.
He's over here, Dardo.
Yeah, I know. The
Okay.
windmill was too slow.
He's also not moving. Oh, now he started moving.
Fuck, he did not move the way I thought he was going. Oh my god. Gemstone guy, work with me here.
A creature sporting an unusual gemstone seems
Alright,
to be.
is that good
avoiding
enough?
Another
Yes, it was.
gemstone
Nice.
cracks, and the windmill shakes violently.
It was over here-ish. May not be exactly where I thought we were at the spawns, though.
They may randomize him a little bit. I don't.
They don't, but I don't memorize anything beyond the first three.
Well, there's only 3.
Well, there better be more, otherwise we're screwed.
We're
Why?
screwed.
We don't have any gemstones.
No, we don't get them.
We only get them when we spawn, when they spawn. So if
Right.
there's no more
Oh.
spawns, then we don't get any more gemstones.
No, they'll spawn. They'll keep spawning.
Okay, so there are more than. Oh, there he is.
No, there's only 3. Because if it dies, then we get credit for it.
Yeah, there are more than 3 waves spawning.
Are there?
Yeah, because they can spawn without a gemstone. If
A gemstone cracks once more.
if need
The
be.
windmill
If one's up.
rumbles deeply, then falls still.
All right, we got him
Magic
good though.
brought it to
All right,
life
so we gotta
seems
ask
to
the
have
dame.
worked,
Give me Cloak of
Help
Autumn.
more.
the old knight says.
Okay.
Your trust in
2
me brought
docents.
us
That's nice.
victory this day. You've
Hang on,
earned
guys.
the
Give me just a
reward,
second.
She continued.
Take your
Sure.
time.
but
Oh, I got a Cloak of Autumn. We need to
the
give that to
victory that
Saf,
you
right?
brought her
Yeah,
brother
just give it to
further.
her.
Somehow,
She'll be back soon, I'm sure.
I feel the
Yeah, I'll
cloak
pass it
is
to her.
still nearby.
I'll wait and see if she pulls it. If she doesn't, I'll give it to her.
Hey
Oh,
guys,
good
I'm gonna
idea.
need just a minute. My daughter's on the phone, so hang on.
Yes, yes.
All right,
Take a break.
take your time.
We can go do the optional while we wait.
Oh yeah, I'd be willing to do that. Let's do it real quick. I think it was over this way. This is the fake stone, I think.
I think it pops as a T core or something.
Oh, here we go.
Did it pop for you?
No, but it's right here.
It's weird.
Your spot's not good enough.
How's that possible?
I don't know, but it's not.
Did it pop for you?
No, but it did when I searched.
That's funny.
But I only searched it because I knew where it was.
Yeah.
Never again will he pose a threat.
The knight tells you.
So apparently, Cass is like the freaking, awesome sauce of everything. And like my daughter called me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just call her back later. And then she called back, and I went, oh my God, it's an emergency. That's like our cue. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you call once and I decline you, if it's an emergency, you call immediately. Call back
Okay.
immediately. So she did, and we were hearing something on the phone, and I was like, hey, and she said, can I FaceTime you? And I said, well, yeah, okay. And so that's when Cass looked at me and said, they got another dog. And I went,
Ha!
what? I'll be
What?
damned if they didn't get another dog. What the hell? No. What? And then she's all
That's
like,
funny.
look, and she picked it up. And this dog is a border collie, which is, all fine and good. Blue cow dog. I was just like, what? No. No. That's scam
That's
mail.
funny.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
she's-
I'm gonna give you this Cloak of Autumn, Saf. It's really good.
Oh,
okay.
did she not roll it?
She
No.
did not.
Not yet.
So
It's
I
really
passed
good,
it.
yeah.
I passed it to her.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Do you want the hand axe or the clear
No.
water? Okay.
What's the clear one? What's a docent now?
Okay.
There's one more chest. We went in the optional.
Okay. I need to, some point in time, I will take my feather fall off. Let's see. Did it come over here? Yes, there it did. Okay. So I need to move this to right here. And then I will equip this. Okay. All right. So I just have to remember before I jump that I don't have feather fall anymore.
Okay.
Because it was on my cloak.
Do you want to get that other chest?
I don't know where it is.
I'll show you.
Okay.
Just do it. Okay, so where is that chest?
And you're asking where it is. Where?
It's this way. I
Where?
had to look at the map. I've been forced to use my map.
Oh no. Boo. That's
But it's paying off.
awful.
It's almost as if people think I know what I'm doing.
Yay.
The illusion is great.
That's how I do it too.
Good. Well, yeah, you don't do hardly anything except like run in and, you know, here we go. That's it. That's kind of the
Here we
way.
go.
Yeah, that's kind of
now.
what I was thinking for the wedding is, oh, he's going to run in and let's go. Charge! Because that's the way he does it during raids. He's like, okay, you got to do this, do this. Oh, I'm getting bored. Charge! What?
Yeah, but that's because he's run those raids 100 times before,
I
and he knows
know.
exactly what's going on.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, finishing out.
Yep.
God. Is this a single or a double?
I think a single recall, right?
Yeah, just the single. Yeah.
But
yeah,
we
yeah.
want to turn it in.
Yeah. Woofily dwoofily. Alright.
Turn it in. Talk to the goober,
Yee.
Sir Fifflegust.
What a name.
Did you talk to Sir Fifflegust, Saf? I don't
Okay.
did.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
Oh shit! I don't think I got the thorn right quick.
I can share it.
Hopefully I turned it in.
Well, we'll find out when I try and share it. It might be a walk-up.
I don't think it is. There's no quest giver there.
No, I got it here. Here, I shared it.
Yeah. Okay, I did turn it in. Good. 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 That's perfect.
Okay, I got it?
If you got my share, just grab it.
Yeah, I did.
That's probably one of the ones over in the corner or something.
Just kind of looking through the light armor.
Looking for something for your doggo?
Yeah. Oh, here. That'll work. Okay, and that way when he's level 8, we can, like, put it...
Should be
Wait,
level 8 if you're
level
level
9.
8.
Level 9.
Ah,
So, yeah, it's level 9.
all right. Lead on, Dardo.
All right, go forward, minions.
See, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but he won't tell you that he doesn't have any clue where he's going.
Yeah.
I have some clue.
He'll
Well,
just
but-
go forward. No, I know you do in here. You definitely.
A vast tree reaches upward to the sky.
Talk to
Yet
this
some
nerd.
form of corruption has gripped
This is a workup.
slowly
Yeah.
twisting and transforming this ancient sentinel of the forest.
Wait. I think I have... misjudged as to where the heck I should be going.
Down here between the roots. You got to get to the root of the cause. Cause of the roots. Or the rootal cause. Something like that. Up,
Ah,
up. Yeah,
there
you
you go.
got it.
All right.
You want to talk to the little pixie over here.
Ah, again, she and I have, yeah, we're good friends. All right, got it.
All right, we go.
And on Elite. I gotta hope so.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I'm like, he went in. I said, okay, well, sure. Okay, I can have Dum Dum with this one and Smart Smart, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
These
Dum Dum
root
and Smart Smart.
tunnels are full of life, yet something seems off. A sense of unease hangs in the air. Time to find the source of the corruption you've been asked to stop. An ugly
Thank you for
red
jump.
magic barrier
No problem.
blocks the way down to the tree's heart.
So let's go left. Dart's got me used to going left because he always goes right.
Yeah, there you go.
The first orb is destroyed.
We got mobs dead.
A strange red light fills these root tunnels, draining away the life in them.
Took him a while to spawn.
It did.
As the second orb shatters, that sense of unease you felt fades a little. The barrier collapses when the third orb is destroyed, lifting the sense of dread from this area.
Oh, I'm coming where I thought I was coming.
You went back to the entrance. Hold on, we'll be there shortly.
Yep.
Yeah, here we are. That's a dog.
Oh,
Yeah. I made friends.
you
Just
did.
saying.
That's good.
Whole bunch of
That's
good
good.
doggo.
It's a very social game.
Mm-hmm. Where are you now?
Alright, I'm right by the crossroad.
Good. God bless America. Oh, there you are. Yeah, may God bless America because,
Because nobody else is gonna.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I
Thank
am.
you.
I'm just like, well,
We're not very popular in the world.
no, we're not. But some of the things that he has said, my goodness. I mean,
It's unbelievable. It is just unbelievable.
yeah.
Second barrier blocks the
It's
path
kind of
now.
the, what
You'd
I'm.
expect there are more orbs
Yeah,
coming.
apparently at one point in time he said that all males were, or all men were actually females, and therefore they needed to be identified as trans males. It's like,
Oh shit, it's gonna come from my dick?
yeah.
I don't want that.
Oh, okay. He said Cass will have to like explain this a little bit more, but I just thought it was funny. But another thing I thought was funny was him saying we're going to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of
The
the
Gulf of
United States.
America.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh,
Oh, apparently he
Okay.
actually did.
Yeah, apparently that is now official, at least with the
It's
federal government.
it's
Yeah.
official? Are you
Yeah,
so-
shitting me?
So all maps they're gonna make now are gonna refer to it as the Gulf of America.
All the federal government. It doesn't mean the rest of the country has to go along with it.
I don't plan to.
I don't
That
either.
is, yeah, Guac is actually saying that is official. Oh
Yep.
my god. What in the absolute what? Oh,
Man, I'm so happy we got a president that does things that people care about, you know?
yeah, right. I just don't understand. I told my brother yesterday, I said, we've exchanged one
Can I have a hit?
yes, you
Thank
can. We've
Anyways, go on.
exchanged one nut job for another.
Yep.
So
Well, that's the only choices we get are nut jobs.
yeah, apparently. Yeesh.
You probably should heal Dum Dum.
Yeah,
He's feeling
neglected.
neglected, inspected, rejected, detect.
A shudder of relief passes through the tree's roots as the last orb in the northwest tunnel shatters.
Alright, we can do the optional if you guys want to.
What's that?
It's the Displacer Beast.
Okay.
Wait, you don't
Yeah.
remember?
No. I'll let you lead.
Oh god.
I love Displacer Beasts.
They're so cute, aren't they?
We need Trucine. Are these displacer beasts?
No.
Nope, but Dart
These are
thinks he's
fake
a
wild
tank.
cat.
Oh God, Dart.
Hey, it worked out. This time.
Thanks, Zap.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's what spell points are for, right?
Yeah. Apparently, Displacer Beast has tentacles. Tentacles or testicles? I haven't figured out which yet.
It has 10 testicles.
It has 10 testicles. I like.
Yes.
He must
Because it's
be-
got those little testicles at the end of it, you know,
Sense of dread
Yeah.
with the tentacles.
explore.
Yeah. So, definitely someone that could be quite prolific.
I ain't seen any displacer beasts yet, though.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, we went down the different tunnel way.
Which is good. We needed to go this way.
Yeah.
Thanks, Squat. Yeah, we are. The three of us. Wah! Dart!
Hey, just business as usual.
Yeah, apparently. We do tend to be quite a hoot whenever the three of us get together.
Sometimes we're a woot, too.
A woot. Hey, just wait till we get some chesticles. I love me some chesticles.
We haven't had too many chesticles in this quest.
We haven't had
With
too
the
many
final orb in the
chesticles.
northern
I
woods,
know. Woo woo! Ha ha!
crackling sounds.
Oh my goodness.
I want to see the testicle, the 10 testicles.
10
There you
testicles.
go.
A
I
prolific
want to see
10
that
testicles.
beast.
I know. Oh man.
So Displacer Beast is south of the fork. Oh wait, this mobber's back here. Okay. Hold on.
Oh great. So Dart's gonna go over there and get his butt kicked.
No,
No,
you
I'm
actually
waiting.
stopped.
Oh
You did good.
nice. Wow.
Where do you see mobs?
I just remember they were there.
Oh,
I think they were, anyways.
no, I think
There's
you
a root
remember.
wall.
You remember he is broken.
The root tunnel lurches.
You were saying?
as
We have-
several blights
Oh, okay.
What?
Wow, there's a
What?
lot of them too.
Whoa! Ouch! 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 Ouch!
They're going for the easy meat.
Yep. Yeah, because this healer is obviously easy, right? Yeah.
Any caster.
Any
is-
caster is easy.
Yeah,
Oh.
Alright. Just-
If we see a shrine, Saf might want.
Oh, there's a shrine straight ahead with the Displacer. Actually, there's one right here.
Good.
There's one right here. Go away.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm casting that on you, and also that on you, and then on you, that on you, and then this on me, and then
You want to resummon your Razor Cat?
oh shoot, no, he's right there, and I already started resting, so
Yeah. All right, that's.
yeah, it's all good. Most of my heals are because of Dart!
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, I'm groovy. Let's roll.
If we look at the kill count, Dart's got more than twice as many as anybody
Oh,
else.
I know, right?
He's deadly. He's
Yeah.
glass cannon material.
Yee.
All right, which way are we going? Right or straight?
Right is the optional.
Then let's go right. I wants me a 10 testicle monster.
Oops.
The stench of decay pervades this dead passage. The tunnel opens up into
Oh.
an underground cavern.
Roots
So
of
we're
the
here.
blessed
Hear a
tree.
menacing snarl.
There is a chesticle over there.
There's a testicle?
Oh, there he is. A chesticle.
A chesticle. But
We gotta
have the
kill.
10
We gotta kill
testicle.
10 testicles
Oh,
first.
can I
yeah.
have a heal,
Jesus, Dart!
please? Thank.
He started the fight without us.
I'll keep healing though.
Yeah,
Well, I went the wrong
apparently.
way. It's not my fault.
I went the wrong way. But see, he does
Oh,
have
God.
testicles on the end of his tentacles.
Tamed ground.
The
That's what he
testicles-
beats you with. He beats you with the heavy balls.
He d-
chest is over here.
I've been ball beat. Oh my god. Oh, that's hilarious. Sorry.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
Were
Oh, that was
were
fun.
they a big set of balls? Because like I couldn't see them.
Well, they were massive.
Massive.
They were
They were-
whacking
There
pretty
were
hard.
boulders. Yeah, the dangly bits. Exactly, Guac.
Exactly.
The dangly. Oh my gosh. Whoo. Spell worded belts. Meep, 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 beep, 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 beep. Jet. Reserved for. It's a black gem. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. All
Oh, they
right.
got another shrine down here.
Oh, wow. Nice. Cool.
But we don't-
Judging by the marks
We don't need them right
We're
now.
just
and
we're
flaws,
just that.
This
Yeah.
collapsed tunnel is likely how the Fomorian got down into the roots of the tree.
Okay. Are we done with the optional?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Waiting for
I go
Dardo.
back to the mid.
Oh.
Oh, I'm waiting for you guys.
Oh, we just
Well,
call
we
out.
are way in front of you, so
Yeah.
I forgot Savardi Shrine.
Yee. Yee. Yeah, the only reason we went in here was to get beat by the testicles.
well, I wanted to see the testicular monster.
Yeah.
Go.
Go, go, go. There's like no resistance.
Oh my gosh.
Corrupting magic pours down the corridor in palpable
It's
waves.
like electricity at absolute zero, no resistance.
Yeah, no shit.
There's a reniment there.
The Fomorian bellows. Stop them, Voidfang! The Gogdias tree ritual must not be interrupted.
Yeah.
Oh, I pulled aggro.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's to be expected. We're both fighting the boss. And you're easier to kill than me, so all the mobs went after you.
This is tradition.
Yep, as is tradition.
To be a real tank, I'd have to have Intimidate.
With a single magic
guys can
word,
enter.
the
Yep.
Yeah.
Fomorian snaps the barrier
Just takes a
back
minute.
into place. However, you notice a crack in the base of the barrier you can squeeze through. Earhold the Blightmaster snarls. Turn back, vermin. You're not powerful enough to stop me from turning this Gogdias tree.
Very
Earhold
nice.
The Blightmaster crumples to the ground.
Thank you.
gasping.
Yee.
It was so close.
You weren't even close.
Ooh, Cloak of Winter.
Fomorian is dead,
Oh,
and
that's
the
pretty good,
ritual
actually.
ended. All that's left is to tell the pixies.
You
it's
got one
safe
as
to
well?
return to the blessed
No,
tree.
Cloak of Winter. Different
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You got Cloak of Autumn.
Oh, that life sealed is a nice attribute, but the
Yeah.
problem is it takes your cloak slot, which is bad.
Yeah.
And I don't have any better cloaks.
Oh, you don't have one of the feather fall, cloak of the wind or whatever it is?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, this
Then
is
that's a good cloak.
this is actually Cloak of Winter. Do you guys do either of you want that?
Oh, I
No,
just got
thank you.
it.
Okay. And Durgon?
No, thank you.
Okie dokie.
All yours.
All right. Oh, you're in PP. Okay.
Do you use cold spells? That might be useful for you if you use cold spells.
Yeah, not as much though. I think I have like. Oh no, actually, I don't have any cold spells.
Well, actually, it doesn't boost the spells at all.
No.
More for a melee. When struck in combat, there's a small chance you will be shielded by conjured ice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, finishing out.
Yee.
So actually, that might do Dart some good. It might help mitigate some of the damage he sucks up.
That would be nice. Maybe I wouldn't have to visit a shrine every other freaking turn.
Ha ha ha. But that's what shrines are for.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's true. It is what they're
Philadelphia.
for. Also,
We
Yee.
gotta
the next
turn
one-
it in. Turn it in.
Next one's just to the south.
I knew you could do it. Thank you so much.
Which direction is south?
It's south. I can't get better than that.
I'm sorry. That's hilarious. Which direction south? South? I mean,
Is it right, left, straight
yeah,
ahead?
exactly.
No, I mean that's what I'm looking for.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Oh, wow. Okay. This is actually kind of nice.
What'd you
Um,
get?
Dire Devoted Ring of Feather Falling, but it gives me
Oh, that's
healing
pretty good.
lore by 9%.
Give me a minute to take this call.
Yeah, yeah. Hey. Baby. Bleh. No? I want to put it there. I want to put this right here. And then I want to move this over here. Because I still have... Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but the Feywild gear, the more pieces of it you wear, you get additional bonuses.
Nope, I hadn't noticed because I've been too busy going, ooh, that's an upgrade, and that's an upgrade, and that's an upgrade, and yeah.
That's actually probably the most important part anyway, but
Yeah.
if it's an upgrade, it's good.
Mm-hmm. All right, down the hole. Oh,
Down
wait.
the hole.
And do I need to talk to anybody? Nope, I don't.
I don't think so. It'll warn you if you try to enter and you don't have the quest.
Yeah.
But this is the one I shared earlier.
Ah, okay. Dum Dum. Is this the one where we talked to the woman?
This is the underwater one, I think.
Okay, then cool.
No, this
No.
is the Thornright. We should just go straight there, by the way. It's really quick if we do that.
Yeah. All right.
Great. Yeah.
All right.
A deep
This way.
spoons through the cavern.
Instant completion, basically.
Turn back, stranger.
But do we get all the bonuses and everything?
Welcome in
I think so.
my workshop. Any who
Like
linger
conquest and ransack and
go
stuff.
for the test.
Yeah, I do think we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And to the right.
Don't forget the breakables.
Well, the other reason is why we never really wander in this one. Oh. There we go.
It's Spooters from Hooters.
Spooter.
Hooters.
Yep. Short quest. This is supposed to be a
Ooh,
short
ice chest.
quest.
Ice chest in the sky.
Ooh. Pretty, pretty. Gold snowflakes coin?
Ooh. That's special.
Oh, yeah, it's from the festival.
Oh yeah, and then the final fight's here. So yeah, we're
A dryad leaps from
Hello.
the tree. Sensing your surprise, she motions for you to speak with her.
alright. If you really want, we can go after the quest, but this should get us conquest.
Okay. We don't have ransack, but that's all right.
Yeah, we have mischief though. That's half of it. Oh, I gotta talk with her. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like,
cool.
is this like a group pose? Are we going to pose for a
It
picture?
is, yes. This is a
Yeah,
great
now
place
we
to
are.
post.
Creatures instantly spring to the attack.
instantly spring to the attack. They never fall to the attack or summer to the attack.
Right? Whew. Hi.
You're getting whacked.
I know. I have a slow crow on me.
Oh, the stupid birds. Blink doggers.
Yeah. You know what? You little fussy things. If you weren't already dead.
To complete the test, Dryad joins the fray herself.
Careful, Saf. You're exposed.
Dryad calls for a halt to the battle. You neither bend nor break. Good. The Thornlight is willing to see you. You may enter. She makes a gesture, and the door opens.
Where the hell is
Oh, we
Smart
didn't
Smart?
get Conquest.
No.
Alright, we'll play. Alright, so this way to finish. If you really want to get extras, we can go.
That's fine.
No, I know this is like nice and quick. Oh, you get most of it,
Yeah.
and it's good.
A gnarled woodwode carefully picks through a pile of brambles, plucking out the largest and sharpest thorns. Surely this is the Thornright. The Thornright explains that he crafted a magic needle for Hirsum. A needle that now contains Hirsum's immortality. The Prince of Satyrs then took that needle to some place called the Treasure Grove.
Finishing up.
Oh. Duh. Loot all. That would be a good thing. It was like going
friends.
through looting one at a time.
Well, if you want to look at each thing and admire it and stuff, that's
Yeah.
good.
Hey, let me show it off like in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
You want to release it, drop it, or show it off?
Oh,
Gotta show it off.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks.
Now we're
Roll,
going down to the
roll.
underwater bit. To the
All right.
waterfall.
There's a couple over there, isn't there?
Yes, 3.
Hey,
Just try to get. I'm all done because it's a pain in the ass to get down there. Something's odd here.
yeah. Why? It's a named. It's a named.
I've never seen that named before.
Yeah, me either.
I'll take it though.
Oh, I got a collar.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
give it to Sam.
Yeah, I'll give it to you, Saf.
Okay.
I haven't.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
Ooh.
I want to make Dum Dum everything he can be.
Yee. Be all you can be.
Bangs of Wild Hunt.
Yeah. In the Dum Dum Reserve. Yeah.
Oh, it's got a speed buff on it. That's not
Yeah.
bad. For level 5, that's not bad at all.
Mm-mm.
Alright, now we gotta try and find Dart. I suppose he went south again.
That's probable.
He always goes south. There's something about that.
Yeah, south. If you want, I can mark the location. I'm at the waterfall skip.
Whoops. Is the one where we go underwater?
Yes, it is.
Not here, though. It's not that way, Seth.
Okay.
Think there's a side way over here, maybe?
I'm thinking that maybe it's up.
So here, you gotta go underwater. Weasel your way through.
I
And you
think
want to
go
put your feather.
underwater further up, just so you know.
I think both places. And I think you'll want to put your feather fall item.
Yeah.
Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good caller, actually. There aren't many named ones.
Mm-mm.
I just saw it.
There's another go underwater bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. I am so grateful
Explorer point here.
that. Where at?
Just keep following if you're not
oh,
sure.
okay.
It becomes a lot clearer once you hit the ground.
Ah.
Remember, the casters in this one are very dangerous.
In this quest, yeah.
Yeah. What's over?
Let's see. I don't know, but Dum Dum does not seem happy.
Too many
Good.
cats.
Yep. Repeat the quest. Okay, ready?
Ready.
All right.
Ham and cheese.
Please.
Mayonnaise.
I don't know of anything that rhymes with mayonnaise. Maybe orange. Sorry.
That comes, the old knock knock joke. Knock
Right.
knock. Who's there? Banana.
Diana who?
No, banana.
Oh, banana who?
Knock knock.
Oh no. Who's there?
Banana.
Banana who?
Knock knock.
Oh my god, shut up, Durgon.
No, you gotta say it.
All right. Who's there?
All right. Sean!
Orange.
Photo here.
Orange who?
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana again?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Thank
That's
you,
just a
Guac.
classic.
Oh my gosh. Come on. Thank you.
That went much easier than the last time we tried.
Who would have thunk it?
Was
we
there
already
stuff
cleared
up
ones
there?
over here?
No.
There's a few mobs, so I think we got them already.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently it is classic guacamole. Okay, because like wow, I've never heard of that. And I am
Oh,
Gen
good.
X.
Here's a murmur of confused voices coming from up ahead.
I am protected of some sort.
Thank you.
Yep.
From having to breathe.
Oh, did you give me underwater breathing?
No,
I think
the
the
quest
quest
does.
just has.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the little bubble that we're in.
Fun fact: since
Nice.
on my main, I'm an undead. I actually don't have underwater breathing at all.
He doesn't
Really?
breathe.
Great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, huh?
What am I missing?
Oh, did you guys go left when I went left?
No.
Okay.
We
well, then I
went
just
straight.
1v3 three casters. No, go
Oh,
down
I
here.
see.
Yeah, you won't go down here. There's a lever.
Oh, we do want to go down or don't want to go down?
We
That was
do.
a tiny hole. We didn't notice it.
Look at these crayfish too.
A magical light fills this
God, I
room
could go
and
for some
blinks on
crayfish.
something mounted to the back wall.
Or even some shrimp.
Dude, y'all are making me hungry.
The first lever is
I'm actually really hungry right now, but I want to keep going with this, so I'm gonna fend it off.
So how about we just finish all of, the little quests that we've got, and then we'll call it for a bit.
We could, I would like to at least do this one and two more, because then
Yeah.
we'll get out of the waterfall area.
Oh,
then
yeah.
send you one coming down here.
And then we'll take a break or call it.
Yeah.
And I'm
So-
not raiding tonight, so I'm open to more play later. Otherwise, I'll just continue to make my factory grow. It must grow.
Your factory?
Yeah, in Factorio.
Oh,
The factory must grow, Saf. It must grow.
I didn't know
You
if you were
sound-
talking Pal World or what.
Well, I mean, it has to grow there too.
You sound like an oligarch.
Yeah.
I am an oligarch.
Eeh.
I'm
Yeah.
such an oligarch. I polluted so much it triggered an alien attack.
Oh
That's how
no.
much of an oligarch I am.
Oh, we don't need that. That's a underwater breathing.
Yeah. But I do need some healing when you have the chance.
Yeah. Thanks. Where'd you go?
I'm right here. Thank you.
Straight ahead.
Yeah. Well, where'd he go to need the healing?
That is always a question, but if there's some place to go to need healing, Dart will find it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's true. I'm good at.
Oh, Poozle.
I got this.
Good.
This is why you always let the one with ADHD do all the puzzles. They can figure it
Absolutely.
out like, boom, done.
Lickety split. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cass is the same way. I'm just like, dude, for real. And he does it while he's playing another video game, reading or listening to a book, watching TV, and eating, or, you know, playing some other game or on the phone.
All right,
He is-
you guys talk to the prisoners. I'm picking some blocks.
Okay.
By two levers, each with a central keyhole.
You guys did not go talk to the
No.
prisoners, did you?
With both
Uh-uh.
levers unlocked and
Where?
the
I thought they were in here.
fades away.
They're in the other cell. Like literally anywhere but that one. There's the one right across the hallway.
Okay, I goes and I talks. Thanks for freeing us, man. Oh, wait, I have to do that unlike Noel. Thanks for freeing us.
The grotto, swimming for the surface.
Runsies! Runsies!
You sound like the hag.
Whoops. There we go.
And we go up this way. Yeah, good job, Durga.
Come.
Light filtering
feed.
through this shallow pool illuminates a lever set into the far
Womp
wall.
collars die first.
Womp, womp, womp. Colors. God, I'm such a dork. Womp, womp, womp.
As the sun is pulled and the barrier in the main hall dissipates.
Oh, we can go to the main hall now.
Barrier in the main hall.
Alright, over here it is.
A group
Dun,
of
dun,
Kelpies
dun.
Kelpies, get the swamp collar.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, it's an elemental. Oh, and swamp collars.
Durgan's in trouble.
Yeah,
I
I
am
see
in
that.
trouble.
I see that. Ah, what the
For
hell?
once, it's
No.
not me.
Thank you.
Come on, come on.
Alright,
Big
we're
heal
good.
wounds.
Casters are dead. Alright, we're good.
I was in kind of an odd spot, so I was wondering if it was preventing you from targeting me.
Whew. I don't know, but thank God you're alive.
Oh, yeah.
Live and well.
Although I was close.
That was too close. And you know what's so sad is I was thinking I was hitting my cure serious wounds, and I actually hit my fire trap first. But now then there's Dart.
Yeah, this is better. This is more normal.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, the final fight.
Oh, I love the voice acting for him. There's casters in the back I'm going for.
Yep, sounds
Keep
good.
Durgan alive.
Yeah.
The Kelpie Lord calls out.
I can see you're no easy prey, but the struggle makes the feast all the sweeter. Elementals, attend me!
The Kelpie Lord falters, then collapses, diffusing into clumps of ragged weeds.
Alright, there we go.
Yee.
You spot the Eladrin's lost keepsake perched atop a nearby chest.
Alright, loot the chest.
That was so commanding. See, this is why you are going to be great at this
Dude,
wedding.
I am good at telling people what to do.
Yeah. Loot the chest now.
Again, though, he's working from a place of experience right now.
Yeah. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yes, it will be fun.
Okay, finishing out.
Turn the quest in.
Good, actually.
Yeah. This has been pretty productive.
It has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's even better whenever you, I don't know, have the expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, it's much
Yeah.
more relaxing that way.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see.
Give us half a minute there, Dardo.
Oh, these are cloaks. No. You said bracers? Nope.
We gotta work on getting a master's gift. That means we've got to do Dolores and get the trinket from there, and we got to do Threnal and get the cloak from the end of that.
Alright.
And then we can combine them and make a master's gift.
Cool. Alright. I be ready. Let us roll. My horse better not get moss infections from this water, Dardo.
He'll be fine, probably. I mean, look, there's other horsey friends for him here.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Look at them. Yeah.
So handsome.
They look like they are moss monsters.
Well, they're kelpies, technically. They're seaweed.
Yeah, exactly. So they're literally seaweed horses.
Yeah. And on a leash.
It's the
Oh.
sweeties.
And careful with the pets on this one. Like, don't summon smart, just dumb.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'll be a pain in the ass at the end.
Oh
Darn,
yeah,
you know
this
it.
is the very
Really?
very
Yeah.
end. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the one.
So
That,
Oh
you
yeah.
You could
Yeah.
summon him now, but he can't be alive by the time we're through with
Yeah,
it.
no, just because you can dismiss Dum Dum or you can put Dum Dum on passive.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him on,
That'll be when we go into the hut with the dragon.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him out here.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Set him to aggressive. Also, there's chests over here.
Yeah. Is it?
Oh yeah, these are
chesticles?
the fake ticles. Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank
the Fakos.
I'll try this that one.
Alright.
Why am I not getting any spots?
Oh god, I
Oh.
got nat 1 on that. Heck.
Shake, shake,
Alright.
shake.
Whenever you guys do it,
Shake your booty.
it's not working.
I can't talk to this one.
Dad, you gotta jump and then
It
talk to
occurs
it.
to me that this regular
I'm
chest
not-
don't hang out.
Hold
or
on, I'll get it.
cohabitate. Yeah. So this one.
Yeah,
is
I'm not
actually-
able to do that.
I can do it.
That's
Hey,
a
is that
mimic.
garlic, or does your breath stink?
All right, so those two are mimics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go this way.
I don't remember.
I don't think it matters. You just kind of wander.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
wander, look at any chests we can find.
And clearing is always good, so we don't run into mobs when we're chasing
Yeah.
Needle Dick.
Yeah, I remember. Where is my mouse? There it is.
Alright, I got 2 more ahead. Also, Fomorian.
Yeah. They must be interested in the chesticles too.
Oh, can I have a heal when you have the chance?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Uh-huh. Hey, guess what, asshole? I can do that shit too. Nothing unusual, just hanging out.
Let me try.
That
Step away from
Ah,
this
I got it. I
obvious
thi-
trap.
Oh, the treasure chest said stop. That's a
That
mimic.
is a mimic. Yeah. Yeah, stop.
All right, let's keep looking for chests.
Yeah. Use Q to target it and E to open the dialogue. Ooh, that's nifty.
I do find it interesting that the chesticles come in pairs.
They do. the way God intended.
Indeed, indeed. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wee-woo.
I don't think I think we want to go around the way you go.
Wait, yeah, we have to go through the wooden tunnel thingy.
Oh yeah, we do have to go through that wooden tunnel thingy. Let's go through it.
This is the penis that goes with the chesticles.
Yeah.
And we're getting squirted out of it.
Oh, I hope Saf's not gonna get demonetized.
Oh my gosh.
Hashtag 18 plus, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's on my channel. It is 18 plus. So, yeah, it's.
I always wanted to be in the Navy. Now I'm a seaman.
Yay! Nice.
Where's the chesticles? We need chesticles.
I told you, guacamole. The three of us get together. There's no telling what's gonna happen. Oh. I shall heal Dardo. Because he's once again decided to start tanking.
Well, there's
Well,
kind
also-
of a lot of mobs, so.
Yeah, they're just all over the
And
place.
he's easier to kill than me, so they do prefer him. I need intimidate. I suppose I should work on my intimidate skill.
Yeah.
I can say he may look easy, but you're ugly, and they'll come after me. What do you think? Up this way?
You are up that way.
Are we gonna look for more chesticles?
Yeah,
Chesticles.
but I'm not sure this is the way.
I mean, I don't know what the way is. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
going with the route.
I
You're
don't
way
either.
faster than me all of a sudden, by the by.
Because you're not a monk anymore.
Freaking monks.
Yep, a mock. It's a mock. It's not a monk. It's a mock.
A mock.
Yeah, a mock.
Mach 5.
Whoa, what the holy heck was that, folks?
That was
Come
this
on.
schemer over here.
Yeah.
I'll whack him. Yowza.
Yeah, just a little. Yeesh.
He hit me with a dot.
That was a good dot.
It was. It was almost an exclamation point.
Yeah. Ooh, a chesticle. I found a chesticle.
Where?
It's over
Where?
here in the tree. I found a chesticle.
Oh, I'm opening.
Oh. What? Did we get a name or something?
Oh.
It's a mimic!
Oh, ha
Ah! Whoops.
Rest in pepperoni.
Oh my gosh. So sorry, guys.
It's out
No,
under the
that's
way.
alright.
Strung up.
It
You-
wasn't in a
you-
tree.
You owed us one.
Oh goodness. It was a chesticle that was defective. It was a defective chesticle.
The-
God. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. That's enough coffee for me today. I think that is a-okay.
Ha ha ha.
Oh my goodness. What is beating on me? Dum Dum, come on, do your job.
Yeah, I
Like, I'm
think
just a dog.
that chesticle was left over from vasect.
sense.
That's why it was on the ground.
Got you. Then it was a vasecticle.
Oh, I like it. It was a vasecticle. How come there's only one testicle here? Were you able to talk to it?
Yeah,
Stop.
it's
Yeah,
a
okay.
mimic. It's a mimic.
Well, why was there only one?
I don't know.
Guac.
Maybe his partner is the other one we killed.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, got guac. Yep.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm stunned. I'm in trouble
Yeah,
because I'm
I
stunned.
know. What was that? Cass actually did something. What was it? Oh yeah, it was he threw all of his cards at you. That's what happens. I get a little caffeine and it's like ding 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 ding. Yeah. And I had coffee this morning because we were able to go out for breakfast and I didn't have to like go, "Oh, man, I can't have this and I can't have that and blah blah blah." So,
Hold on, Dart. Do you want a shrine?
yes,
Seth?
actually I would love to.
Here.
Thank you. All right, so let me.
That's a mimic.
That's a mimic? Okay.
Yeah, it's a mimic. Let's wait for Sam.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the plan.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys jump again.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to shrine. La 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 loo, la la lay. Ah, there we are. Now, wait, hold on.
Mana galore.
Yeah. Are you serious? Yeah, I know. I need to target that and then tell my dog to use it.
Eat.
Woof.
Okay, well, I hope he did. I commanded him to.
He did. I saw his health just
Okay.
fill up.
Cool. All right.
All right, so I feel like we should go this way. But I don't think there's any chest stuff.
Okay, you said go up, not go down. That's down. We don't
Yeah,
want to
that
go
looks like
down
down.
the hole.
There's a way up though. Again, if we go down.
Yeah, so let's go down.
All right. Alley-oop. Ha ha. La la
Red
la.
caps.
Where are you guys?
We're down.
We're down.
Yeah, I went down too, but
We
She
went down
in a
and then
different
up.
area.
Oops, Seth got company.
yeah, Saf's got a lot of company.
With those doggos.
Your doggo is giving his life for you.
Good. He needs to. He's been lazy.
He did. Now he's dead.
Died of dead.
Oh, hang on.
We
I can
avenged him,
reg him. Reg him. I can reg
Res him?
him. Yes.
You can?
Yes.
Sweet.
Boom. There we go. I do have to
Wanna
kind of hit
heal
him
him.
with the hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right.
So we are here. Listen, I like this way.
Let's see.
These are just deer. We don't care.
Yeah. Oh, here comes a crow. A flow crow.
Oh, a Raven.
Hmm.
Where are the chesticles?
I don't know where the testicles are. I thought they were only up above.
They are only up above, as far as I know. But the mob can still run down, so it's worth clearing.
Mm.
Plus, it also might.
I was
spin us out
trying to look
somewhere
for a way up.
we haven't been. I mean, I know of a way up. Wait, we're already at the high ground, actually. As long as we just
I think so. Thank you, Saf.
Yeah.
Very timely.
Yeah.
These red craps hit hard.
Yeah, they do, especially on Elite.
Yeah, it's way
Alright.
up right here. We want to stick to the high ground.
Sure, let's do it.
Gotta go around that tree.
You take the high road and I'll take the low road.
Birds.
And we'll be meeting in the
Flying doggos. I don't think we
morning.
can get over there, Dart. I think that's the edge of the
Oh,
zone.
that's the edge of the zone? Really? Because the shrine's on the other side.
It is, but we've already been on the other side.
Right, well, you wanted to go to the high ground. That's how you get there.
No, I want to go to somewhere we haven't gone yet.
Well, then we gotta go low. That's the only way. I guess we could go this way.
Come on. Get up there. Up, up.
Oh, wait, that is the low way. Okay. Oh, wait, over here.
Ah, this is different than Wayfinder. I forgot. Ah, let me up! I do have jump, yes? Oh.
Huh. Can't. What's happened?
There we
Holy
go.
shite. My map is doing all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah, I'm like blinking.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my map bigger and it's like jumping around the screen, so there's something going on. Alright, so where are you guys?
Right here in front of you?
Okay. Dardo's not. We'll go find Dardo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just waiting by the one area we haven't been yet. And we
Then
can
let's do that area because that's where we haven't gone yet.
You take the high road and I'll take the low road. And we'll be meeting in the morning. See, that's not the right lyric. I know it's not. I don't flipping know.
Sorry, I'm getting slightly distracted.
Oh, you're okay.
Damn real life. This is not high ground, Dardo.
Nah.
I know. You said you wanted to go somewhere we haven't been.
Yes, that's where
Well,
we
this
need
is
to go.
Somewhere we haven't been. I was taking you to high ground before, but you didn't like that.
Well, I don't care. But we've already been there, so there's nothing there. We're not going to find new chesticles there.
No, you could find a new path, though.
Oh.
Okay, I'm on board with the new path.
No, we're going this way now. I'm not wasting more time going back and forth.
Oh, there's a buggo.
Heck at buggos.
Wow, wow, wow,
It's okay to clear this stuff anyway, because we may end up down here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ooh, hello. So yeah, that goes on you, and then this is gonna go here. And then I'm gonna come back over here and do this. See, I did a helpful. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's like, look, I can do something other than heal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yee.
Alright, and then there's high ground over here.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Yay. Come on, Dum Dum, let's go.
And we haven't been here before.
Hey, he said
I don't
he was
think. Oh,
gonna,
maybe we have.
he said he was gonna take us. I
Oh, wait,
trusted
maybe-
Darted.
Maybe we have been here before, though. Huh. Alright, we gotta keep going with the low ground, then follow the river.
I can't tell where we have and haven't been.
I can. And right now we've done a full circle.
Yeah.
So the only thing is like right here. Oh, I think we got to get on top of these rocks.
Ooh, a pile of gold. Wait, what's this doing? Oh, you guys left me. Okay,
We did. We're exploring the rocks here.
sure.
But the
Sounds good.
chesticles grow in trees.
They
Yeah,
do.
I know. There's mobs.
Oh, we got some.
mobbies.
Seth found some mobs.
Should probably make my way back to you guys. Maybe I'll just like stick around in the next area. I think I found the rest of the chests.
Oh, good. Okay.
At
We
least I
found-
found a shrine.
We found the rest of the mobs.
Yeah.
Kill them.
You casting son of a bitch. Come here. That's right. I'm gonna beat on you. You little asshole. Come here. Whoops.
These satyrs are tough.
Yeah, they are.
Did you fear him?
No?
Oh, he's going after you,
I'm
doggo.
down.
Uh-oh.
That's fine.
Oh my god.
I think I see another chest here too.
I got distracted by a chest. You guys get me whenever you want.
Yep, I'll be there in a minute, but I just saw a chest, so I'm gonna...
Yeah.
You have a good feeling about this.
Uh-oh, so we found it.
Perhaps it is the one. you
To take it down.
Then we have to fight, and then the
No,
critter starts
you don't have
running
to
in
fight
there.
anything.
I thought the critter pops out when we take it down.
He doesn't fight you though. He runs.
Yeah, but we want you with us when we do that.
All right. Well, I don't need to be there. That's definitely for sure.
No, you do. Let's go get Dart.
Yeah.
Just remember where it was.
Can we mark this?
Actually,
wait,
what we
wait.
can do...
Hang on. I'll make my pet guard it.
Okay, that'd be good. Although we can't see your pet on the map. If you want to wait here, actually, Seth, I'll go get Dart.
I was gonna say I can see him on the map.
Dart's
Oh.
a long ways away.
Yeah. Okay. I'll wait because Dum Dum doesn't want to guard this.
Oh, you
place.
can see him on the map? I see.
Yeah.
You actually, you can make him stay there. Put him on passive,
Yeah.
and then one of the things on the bar is a flag that'll make him stay there.
hmm
So if you can see him, that'll work. I forget what it's called. Are you streaming?
Passive. Yes. Hang on. And I know what it's called.
Where's his bar? I see it.
Mhm.
I think it's the leftmost button. If you click that leftmost button,
Oh yeah.
you saw a flag come up?
Yeah. There
Yeah,
we go.
perfect. And then put them on, you've got him on passive, so that's perfect.
All right. So yes, I can actually see him on the map.
Okay, so let's go get Dardo then.
All right. Sounds good. Bing bong, bing bong. I'm like singing all these stupid little tunes, and I swear I don't know all of them. It's like bing bong, that comes from Inside Out. So bing bong, bing bong. Did you go down the hole?
I went through the hole.
Okay.
Reverse semen.
I didn't want to fertilize this one.
That's right. Changed my mind.
Yep.
You gotta go through, no, you gotta go through the tree trunk.
Through the tree trunk. Oh.
Yeah. You're going the wrong way. Around.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I gotta go up. What? Okay. I have to go up there.
You know what? I'm gonna go get Dart and get you.
Yeah. I think that's probably I'm gonna go ahead and go back over to Dum Dum.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You say
Well-
there's some chests over here, Dart?
Nah, they were ones we already cleared. Didn't we find the thing anyways?
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all set then.
A couple of more and we would get the optional, but that's alright.
Yeah. What in the world is wrong with me? I can't seem to.
Your sense of direction's been turned around.
Yeah, it has, and now I can't like get up anywhere.
Alright, now I gotta find a shrine. Is there a shrine around here, Dart?
Yes.
Which direction? It's not on my map.
Oh,
This way. Stick to the high ground. I like how I said this way. You went like the exact opposite.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had gotten that chest. All right, right behind you.
Wait, why do we already have the one we need?
Yeah, but 2 more and we get the optional.
I think that might be one we've. I can't tell.
It was one that we had.
Okay. Oh, is it on the over these rocks? I think it is.
There's the way over.
Yeah, I
Okay,
found it.
yeah.
I found it.
All right, good. Oh, this is that stupid bridge.
Just ignore the bridge. Oh, there I am.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I see. Can you see the? I fell down, but can you see the circles?
Yeah. How did I reveal that?
I did. I revealed it.
How?
So I searched.
Oh.
It showed a hidden secret door, and I searched, and the circles popped. Can you make it
Hold on.
across there? or-
Hold on, I need to rest and get rid of my death penalty. I'll try.
Yeah,
to
good idea. Good idea. Well, I don't know if it stays there forever, but that's fine.
It doesn't. It already despawned.
Yeah, I think you might be able to research, but I'm not sure. No big deal. So I think I'm gonna try and head to Saf.
yeah.
Alright,
Good luck.
I'm gonna
with
try
that.
to search. You guys can chop down the real one. My search isn't good enough. So yeah.
Well, that's
there you
fine.
go.
So you come and help us chop down this critter.
All right, and it's at Saf's location.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's my Saf's doggos. My Saf's doggos. What?
I can't see where your dog is, so I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
I
follow
know.
you.
You're the only one that can see where your doggo is.
Yeah, I need to get up, and I can't get up.
Oh, okay. Well, we're coming to you, so from there we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Looks like we've killed most every.
Yeah, we slaughtered things.
So, yeah. I'm a stupid. That's kind of what I feel like right now. I'm a stupid.
Ha ha ha. No, this place is confusing.
Yeah.
Here's 2 chesticles. And we.
Maybe I should just go back.
Alright.
We didn't.
So where do you need to go from here? I'll get you there.
Okay, I need to go up.
Clarify?
So, like,
Okay, so if you need to go through that barrier, go this way. Oh, hey, you found the mimic chests. Nice.
Yeah, I think I found another one here. Oh, I'm with the doggo. Okay, so that's the real one.
yeah.
So I'm with your pet.
Oh, yeah, I'm guiding Saf back.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I was a dum dum. So dum
can I
dum was a
heal
smart
on the back?
mart. Oh yeah, I could probably do that.
Okay.
There we
Thanks.
go. You're
Alright.
welcome.
Don't keep going.
Oh no. Dee, 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 dee. Dee, 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 dee. There's another chesticle right here. Did you guys see this one?
Check it. Check it. We only need 1 more to get the optional.
All right, I'm with Durgon.
Nope. It's a trap.
It's a tarp.
It's a tarp.
All right, I'm finally here.
So we're waiting for Saf.
Yes. WS. Here we go.
And here she is.
Yeah.
All right.
Look what I
Stop
found,
it.
guys.
Dude, look at that dog. Alright, let's loot it.
As you open the chest,
Oh, there's actual loot inside it. Go grab it.
Oh, is there?
Yep.
Inside.
Going after that unicorn in the meantime.
Yeah, there's plate and such here.
as you defeat the unicorn, a deer bursts
Dashing
out from
darling.
Oh, God.
Love this part.
It's gonna take a long time.
You know, just have some innate move speed boost on you.
Yeah, I don't know. We need some sort of crowd control.
I think they're immune to crowd control. Although I don't think we have any either. It's
I mean,
usually
I
not
thought they used
useful.
to stop every once in a while and give you a chance to whack at them.
They do. They do. You just gotta keep chasing it.
Well,
There you go.
yeah, whenever I get there, I can throw a slowdown.
Yeah, see if it works.
Yeah.
This isn't even the most annoying form.
There we go.
A good boy! Look, it's a good boy.
It is a good boy. He's faster than the
Yeah.
was.
There
Yeah.
we go.
the blink dog falls.
This is the most annoying one.
Yeah, this one
Is
is.
that a bat? A bird? Here we go again.
Man, he stops for just like a second, like the spell worked, and then gone.
The raven is
We're
slain.
good.
As
Alright,
it falls
Saf, hatch the egg.
forth, an egg rolls out.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the egg doesn't move.
Kick the egg.
Your doggo's attacking the poor deer.
Oh,
Put it out of its misery. Oh, he's going after another deer.
What a dog.
okay. Do I just pick it up? What do I do?
I don't know. What's it asking?
All kinds of stuff.
I say just like flame strike it. You can't. That's the only way to be sure.
Yep.
Scrambled eggs.
Okay, I
Small
flame struck
winged
it.
Shadow sweeps down
Now we
the
gotta
path
follow him.
and plucks the needle out. Just as you reach for it, with a victorious yoink, the tiny dragon-like creature darts
My
away with its
dragon!
prize.
Alright. Dismiss your dum dum by the by. Otherwise, he will attack him.
Give me a minute. I'm spotting hidden.
It's the bridge, Dad. You can like
Yeah.
try it. I don't have enough search to help you though, so I'm gonna keep the dragon moving along.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I can't detect it a second. Class.
The little dragon disappeared through this portal.
All right, I'm gonna chill by his
taking your
lair.
prize with it.
Yeah. I think you only get one shot at it.
Yeah, that's not
Coming.
what I wanted.
We use behind.
I forgot how to do that.
You trying to do something?
Dismiss him.
Oh, let me look at your stream.
Oh, I don't know how to do that either. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think.
I do.
Oh, okay, cool.
On his bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's nothing on his bar.
Nope.
Can
And-
you right click on him?
Nope. I mean, and looking at his cogs, it's only examine and use.
Well, you know, if you park him out here, we should be fine. Just put him on passive and park him out here by the entrance.
I have to find where the entrance is. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hang on. All right, so passive No. Yep, there's passive. And then park. Okay. Oh, no, I said park. I don't think he's gonna park, guys.
What a doggo. All right. Back to dismissing.
Well, if he's on passive, you can call him to you
Yeah.
when we get up on
As
the
you pursue the creature into
up
the
here.
cave, you hear its excited
And he
voice.
shouldn't chase after him if he's on passive.
Adventurers in my lair. I'm a real dragon now, so behold.
Where's the
my
bed?
mighty horde and
I missed it.
It's right. No, it's right here.
No, it's fine. You don't have to tremble.
Missed it.
Oh, you gotta
Whoops.
slip by.
All right, so oh, too far.
All
You
right.
gotta come up on
I'm
the bed
gonna-
over here. Yep, you got it, Seth.
I'm gonna talk to him,
Shit.
but I won't trigger him until you're both up there.
I can't get up there. I keep fucking it up.
The little dragon puffs up with indignation.
Jesus Christ.
Rude.
The little dragon announces.
We're gonna play hide and tag. So first.
I'll wait till you're up there.
No.
Too late. I can't see anything.
Ah!
And then fight.
Just wait for it to go away.
And then you run. Ha,
All right.
got it?
Yeah, you got your doggo. Oh yeah, so your doggo's on passive, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're good. Good,
Yes.
Dart. Go ahead.
All right.
He's a greedy dragon.
He's just a good boy.
Yeah.
You can come up here once you get him going, right?
Yes, that's the plan.
Oh, you gotta find him. I see, and then
Yeah.
here.
I gotta get him going. Then.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh.
Hello.
Here he is. Okay.
Did you find him?
The little dragon
Yes.
cries out.
You found me. Ha ha. Tag. I'm it. Run.
Okay, we should be good.
Yep.
Yeah, Dum Dum's just chilling.
Yep.
Well, greedy little dragon, what are you going to do now?
Going to lose.
Yee.
The little dragon jumps up and down.
What fun. Thanks for being so very entertaining. You can have the needle. I just wanted to have a friend all along.
Aww.
Aww.
Is there a testicle in here?
There should.
I thought there would be a testicle.
I did too. Just not seeing it. Probably it's over. Yeah, it's over here. And this will probably end the quest.
Fearsome's precious
It
needle
did.
in hand. You prepare to offer him a bargain. He can't refuse.
All right, finishing out.
Finishing.
Yes. This is good. This is very good. Sorry. Yes. Yes.
All right, last one in this bat.
Hang on. Let's get out here.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Sorry. I
No
was
problem.
No, you're fine.
I was looking at some boots that I'm gonna put on.
The Wind Riders, yeah,
Yes.
they're nice. They give you a boost in speed.
Oh yeah. Well, not just that, but they're better than the ones I currently have. Boots
Cool.
of Silence.
They're mythic. That's nice. You got a
Yeah.
mythic boost.
Touch. No. Where did they go? Those are not. Well, I'll be a needle in a haystack. Give me a second, guys. For some reason, I can't
Okay.
seem to find them.
You definitely looted.
Yeah, I looted them. No? I don't think I'm that blind. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm blind, but not that blind.
They're black.
Oh, got it.
Black.
That explains everything. You said they're black, and I went, oh, found them.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're not green. He used the green boots.
Yeah. I was distracted talking to my wife. Hey, you know what? That's a very good reason to be distracted. I'm going to tell you now.
All right, lead the way, Dardo.
All right.
Do it!
Oh, hey, we got a name.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did. I'm gonna go kill him real quick.
Oh, okay. We gotta deal with all the trash mobs because we stopped. Oh, they're pinging.
All right, now we can open this chest.
Wow, it's all. I love that. Yes.
Oh, they knocked me off. I can kill them all though.
I see where.
Where didn't Dart go? There he is.
It's right
So
here.
I've been everywhere and then back again.
Well, you land whore. I swear. Oh my god. Here's a couple of fish behind us. Salamanders, actually. Alright.
In on a lead before the
In.
salamanders catch.
Alright. Ooh, pretty horsey.
Have you come for the hag?
I'll grab two, you grab two, Dardo.
Of the hunt. My hunters
Sounds good.
report she Don't let her prey use one of the portals. Use these banners to summon my huntsman. The hag will try to avoid the huntsman. That doesn't mean, though, they're invincible. Where would the sport be in that? Muses the master of the hunt. Each of my huntsmen are bound to the hunt.
Can I
But when you
summon
remove
Smart
their
Smart?
banner, you free them of their service. What they do with their freedom is your problem, not mine. The master of the hunt.
Yeah, you can bring smarts.
If you like, you could defeat wild beasts out there to gather more lost banners. Then use them to corral the hag towards me. In this gully, she will find true death at my hand.
Dude, this dude sounds like Hiccup's dad in How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You gotta see that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go this way.
Wait, Dart, you've never seen How
Yeah?
to Train Your Dragon?
I don't think so. I might have like a while ago.
Oh my gosh. What? Oh no.
It's on one of the streaming services, like
Yes.
There's
Netflix
so
or
many.
something.
Maybe I should watch it and like just do some painting,
Yeah.
not some factory. Oh hey, it's Owlies.
Yeah,
Doggo.
I don't think he's a name. I think he's just a.
He was a name.
no.
Oh, did you grab one of the thingies?
I did.
Good.
Killed
And
him.
the other named is over by the shrine.
Uh-oh. Where's the... Dart!
Thank you.
Those birds got sharp beakies.
They do have sharp beaky.
All right, keep that.
Keep that in our pocket. Bleep, 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 bleep. Bleep, 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 bleep.
Here's the crabby guy.
You don't want to stop by the portal down there?
Let's kill the crabby guy first.
Okay.
We've got to take out the crab.
He's a big crab too.
What a crabber.
Did you get your guy from this guy?
I did. He was a good boy.
All right, so now we can go to the. And then I want to go back across to the other side up top here. Go down.
Man, I'll tell you what. If this was real life, Dardo, you and I would be so freaking skinny.
Ha ha ha.
Dude, we get so much exercise.
Well, that's because
Shame
you
it
run
isn't.
away and I have to chase you.
I know, it's healthy, you know?
Oh my gosh.
That portal's closed. You can put one down, though.
I did.
Yar. Good.
Yar.
So now I want to go back the way we came
Sure, after I
to
keep
find
Dart
this
alive.
scooter one. Yeah. That's helpful if you.
Yeah.
It's a difficult task.
Wait, why are we... Okay.
Because the spider one over there is easier. Well, I don't care. We can go whichever way you
I
want.
was gonna say, we're gonna loop back there anyways.
All right.
You know,
Fair
that's
enough.
how we do this.
Sounds good.
Woof. Fine. Oh, oops. I did not see those burbs.
The burbs. You didn't
The
see the
burb.
burbs?
I
They were
did
easy
not.
to miss.
I'm staying the high ground.
You're
was
going
so right
high
on
and your
me.
dad's going low?
Well, we
Yeah.
kind of need to clean these out anyway because the hag will come over. I see the next names already too.
Oh, fiery.
Yeah,
What a doggo.
this area is rich. It's got 3 names. I'm gonna get the Shambling Mound.
Alright, I'm going for that name. Saf, go with me. I'm squishier.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know. Your dad's pretty squishy.
No, I just haven't had a heal in a while.
Oh, come on, come on, come on.
Thank you.
Yep,
Alright. I got the name.
Thank you, Saf.
yep, yep.
Good stuff.
Incoming.
Where?
Behind us.
Oh, behind.
I thought he was dead.
But there was another one. It went, hello.
Alright, so now we gotta find the next gate, I think, and there'll be a name somewhere near that one, I think.
Yep. Come on, smart, smart.
These things are. Sorry?
What are you doing, dum-dum? Come here. Now, follow me. Let's put your rage back on.
There's something to our left.
Yeah, it's a portal.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Imagine that.
Oh, incoming.
Alright, we're good. Let's keep going.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do.
Oh, I see another shambles.
Shambles.
And then we got the Spooter. Have all
We're
the
about to
things.
find him. And then we can go say hi to Beatrice.
Oh, dear Beatrice. I feel like this is like an Edgar Allan Poe type of time.
I could see it, honestly.
Yep. Oh, Beatrice. How I do loveth thee.
You grab the Wild Hunt banner, Dart?
I did. I got 4 right now.
God, you're so fast. Okay, so you didn't. Oh, no, I have 4 too. You're right.
Yep.
So now we're looking for a shrine and the Spooter, and I think we just keep going
And the
around.
last gate. There's one more
Yeah,
to the north.
that's
that
what
we
I
can
mean.
Grab.
Incoming.
And the Spooter will be somewhere around there.
Come on,
I see
Dum
the gate.
Yeah, let's head to the gate and then we'll go look for the spider.
Yeah, I think the spider's north. To the right of.
Man, Dum Dum and Smart Smart are lagging way behind. There we go.
And then I think the Spooter's up this way.
Yep. Gotta complete the loop. Something's aggroed on me.
When is something not aggroed
a
on you?
Spider
It's a
or
bunch of spooters from
Oh,
Hooters.
spiders are good. That's what we're looking for.
something. But occasionally things aren't aggroed on me, very rarely.
Where did these guys come from? By that tree over there?
No, behind
think-
you.
Wait, I found the
What?
last
Oh,
guy.
wow,
Found the
there's
last
a
guy. He's
dude.
right here.
There's a dude that does not like me. Oh, yeah. There's a dude that does
Alright,
not
I got him.
There's a white dude with a crown, though.
Oh, he's dead now.
Yeah. Oh, he gave us a chesticles. He gave us some,
An icy chesticle.
yeah, icy chesticles. Ooh, I have a frozen key.
Alright, so now we gotta go look for another chest.
We gotta go to the high ground and find whatever Beatrice is looking for.
Yep, and it's always up on the high ground on those two,
Yeah.
on one of those pillars.
And remove your poison. This is gonna trigger me.
Oh,
The
yeah.
air
Oh,
nearby
yeah. Forgot.
tingles
Oh,
with
it tingles. It's near
magic.
here.
It seems to be coming from up above.
Found.
If you got to higher ground, you could look for the source of.
Alright, I'm ready to engage Beatrice now.
Yep.
I'm gonna head
Wait
towards
for
her.
Saf. Wait for Saf.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got red cap escort. Those are annoying.
Cool. No, not cool. Well, thank you, Dum Dum. I was just trying to heal you. Okay. Alright, good.
Have you found her yet, Dart?
Yeah, she's right over here.
Okay. We might as well start chasing her.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's charge in there. I love it. Oh god, this is certainly reckless. Alright, there goes the rest.
Oh, where did I put it? Where did it go?
Beatrice mutters, running.
Good healing Saf, but she's now.
Oh, Cadence will have my head. and
Uh-oh,
he'll
shit.
turn us into worms.
Oh,
That's
that
gonna
might
be a problem. Yep. There's a shrine not far from here, I think.
Yeah, there is. Okay, she's in the. I'll stay here and mark her location. You go shrine Saf. Durgon, take her.
Yep,
Okay.
come this way, Saf.
You sure you want to go that way?
I'm just gonna run by her.
Well, she aggroed on you, so let's.
That's fine.
All right, I forced her down. Keep going down.
was almost bad.
Almost bad. See, that's our modus operandi. Almost bad.
It was almost bad.
Fucking birds. Uh-oh.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh no.
I'm dead. You're gonna die very quickly, Seth.
Yeah. Shit.
Wait, what? Where the
Yeah,
heck did
we're
you
in
guys-
trouble.
We ran into birds going to the shrine.
Okay. All right, I'm coming. Save you.
Keep
Live,
running
Seth.
to the shrine, Seth. Actually, I might be able to make it there. Hold on, Dart. I might be able to make it to the shrine and res myself.
All right, I can kill them. All right, now rest up, Saf. They're all dead, mostly.
Staff is dying. We're being attacked at the shrine.
Dad, they're all dead. I've murdered everything, basically.
They weren't all
Basically.
dead. Saf was being attacked.
They're all dead.
The only thing dead is your sense of vision.
Oh, snap. Oh, shit. That's gonna be so bad tomorrow. Oh. Oh, my God. That was fucking brutal. Jeez. Oh. Ow. Damn. I'm gonna use that line on my students.
What's
That's
that?
freaking awesome.
Which line?
You're the only the only thing that's oh now I can't remember it. Dang it! I'm gonna have to go back through my stream and like remember it. Oh, that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
good. That was so
He
good.
said everything's dead, and I
Yeah.
said the only thing that's
Dead
dead is
is-
your vision.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that's dead is your vision. That'll be. Hey, Prof, I can't find this. You know, I just can't. Well, the only thing that's dead in here is your sense of vision. Look for it. God, sorry. This
Make
was.
an honest effort.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. Can we get some heals, and then we'll go finish this?
Okay.
You did a good job killing everything.
Yes, you did great. Thank you, Dardo.
They killed me quick.
we
those
did good.
darn birds, man. Everything's tanky.
Yeah.
Now we gotta go find Beatrice again.
Yeah.
All right. You remember where you left her, Dart?
No.
In the
She's on
log.
the map,
Well-
though.
We'll follow you.
Yeah, it was.
We
in-
went. I remember we went through that tube over there.
Yeah, she's in the log.
No, she left the log. I
Oh,
forced
did
her
she?
out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's right here.
Let's go get her.
We gotta watch where she runs.
I know, I'm following her.
She likes to go up to that log.
She does.
I should have waited till you got here so we could both attack. Sorry about that.
Oh, she's still right here. I think we're hard capped on the amount of damage we can do to her anyways. So you need to give her a chance to escape or something. Oh, Smart killed the thing.
Nice. Good job, Smart.
We need to get her out of this route because she's like taking forever to get down. Oh god, she's going back. Wait, maybe a different one.
Way. Yeah, listen, I think we are hard capped. You know, after so much damage, she takes
Yeah.
off.
Oh, here she comes back down.
He's trying to get to a portal.
Got it.
Yay!
All right, now we gotta go back to the hunt master.
Okay.
Yep.
After all. Impressive. Come see me for your proper reward.
Yeah, that's Hiccup's dad. That's exactly who that is.
The voice actor, yeah.
Yes. We've come for our just rewards. Oh,
So just. All right. Speak with the emissary.
Impressive.
of course
There we
it's
go.
impressive. Do you know who I am?
May the
All right, double recall, and we'll take our break.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know if your mom's been cooking. She was going to, but I think she got distracted.
Oh man, Cass.
That's okay.
can
Pizza.
we- No,
Oh
no
shit, we get pizza instead.
Yeah, if mom didn't cook.
food.
I'm enjoying.
Is it lunchtime? It's like 3 something.
It's 5:18 here.
Yeah, it's 3:18 here.
Okay.
So,
So that would be lunch
yes,
for you.
literally.
But it's
Well, it's leper.
Dinner for us.
It's leper. That's what we call it.
Leper.
Leper.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
it's leper. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna log from the game for a
Yeah.
few minutes while we're
Yeah.
doing other things.
Yeah. So for all of our viewers, thank you so much for watching. We had a blast, and now I have something that I can tell my students when they can't find something. So
And beware the testicular monsters.
yeah, and the fasectables.
Testicular.
Yes. All right. You too, Guacamole.
Bye.
Thank you so much. All right.
Back in a
bye.
bit. Bye.